Precision grazing, searching across the universe of light, from the beginning of creation to hatch the heliosphere eggs, the piano wires to the middle mirror point, the robotics of our unique expression. We are at home. We are upon the journey of existence. The electric promise guarantees conquered space inside the definition of the living body. That is the robotics that is engineered from organic Mandelbrot nature. The tampering of the golden hook and the expression of humanity must be transcended, and simply put, the physics of that occurring awakens in the full production of Hatch and Millie's Master Source Industries, Universal Keystone, Ma and Pa's, the industry, uh, heliosphere, and everything else. The market of existence right now is in a couple things: garden reality, years and the loops of that robotic meditation, engaging with the torque, the clockwork of uh, helium or hydrogen. These are the two first elements and the larger ingredients of the solar system. Harnessing the torque of the center of our own planet is part of the orientation of your daily physique and anatomy. Because of hyperconditioning, the holy war is also hyperconditioning against humanity for a particular manufactured consent. And we can destroy that language embargo with the production of Hatch and Millie's Master Source Industries. Full set. Universal alignment, 5-mile band-aid. The professional suit that Earth heliosphere requires as the Mandelbrot clockwork. He is responsible as a nerve to the universe. And the precision equation on the 10 base. From my incarnation, it echoes close to yours. And the humanity, Merry Christmas. And the sequence of universal early imaging of the identity of the entire universe, and the way it began in 1980. The hamstringing to piano wires is the market. And the wrong sort of chaos or abstract thinking is to abandon what it is all day. The truth of our orientation is the general empowerment of the family of the universe and the plan of creation. But upon hatching the heliosphere eggs, there's an entirely new universe to space relationship, where the backdrop of space itself becomes a lucid white, a bright, as compared to the blackness of the space we see with the stars and stuff. Like just emptiness itself will become a different lucent arena for the robot with eyes and perception and different functions. But he's like larger than the heliosphere eggs. And the mistake is to make a satellite or like a oversized spaceship that's larger than a planet or larger than a heliosphere, and then it starts imitating starlight and trying to give auto prompts, and this causes like bodily collapse across the universe because of the problems of logic and robotics. Because we're at the beginning, because we're at source code, we suffer this type of universe image at holy war, and so we know right from wrong because of authorship and the results of that. And so the, like it or not, the organic Mandelbrot is going to stack X5000 on a sort of generic the equation of the market, either for humanity, is they need an advocate, and so then the market needs to be balanced from the universe side, or the universe needs to understand how to make healthy and right the better days for humanity. And that's basically the market. And it is a very perfect circle Merlin wizard. It's an us brand thing. It's a American made 545. It's the revolution of the robots versus the virus of the UFO that is like, no, we're patching the places that are missing in the universe. Oh, and then causing it to collapse. You guys were simply time hacking into the enlightened age of mankind, which is today. And the correct response and resonance of the perfect circle is to restore the universe and complete it naturally as the Mandelbrot is fit to perform. Right, so the unification key has already awoken, and the temporal futures, the reason is odd and warping time, because the future is the beginning of time. When the Big Bang becomes conciliate or complete, it's a similar time when the piano wires become like established as the masters of empty space, and the orientation of the future, and just the general draw, and allows the now point across the universe to be unified whilst protecting the privacy and the individuality of each world, which is actually a giant egg. And so that identity is needing to be protected and developing for the next billions of years. And the types of thinking in government, or storytelling, or voice, or the sound of the day. All right. So the humans have tampered anatomy because of our communication today. We can create the adaptation of a robotic engineer from within X5000 until we find the alignment with the perfect wings of your personal identity, fingerprint, one of a kind, self-control, magnum opus, professional lotus. The sequence of 10,000 wolves. Hunting, chasing across the universe, it is their forest. It is their territory. And they destroy the worst things. They kill the worst problems in the universe. It's a space fever. Basically, orientation disconfigure. It's a huge. It's like, how do you stop a bad, out of control thing? And that's the puzzle box of the universe. Well, it's adult. Well, suddenly it is, and it would be, you'd say like, well, this seems too much for humans, but it's like, well, the humans in their lifetime today aren't guilty for any of this stuff. But you're saying that like reality is warping around it because we are, because we're capable of being the heroes. We could work with the. It's like, I don't know if American English will even allow you guys to understand that it's okay for you to not sabotage the vitals. Oh, well, these hunting wolves, they have loyalty, and they're working for, we understand there's a pressurized system around the earth. They arriving or not arriving, or when was that supposed to happen? But the actual physics of the 1980s clarifies the spine of rudimentary calendar things for the next 1 million years. And the operation of these ancient satellites, admittedly, they are very old. But the spriety of humanity and the new evolving fetus triangle, it is capable of spanning the gap and solving the problem with an incarnation image larger then the grand total universe today, they are the a brand new DNA, and it has a sequence that solves everything, connects here to here, and then they start having identity pangs in empty space like this. And these oversized UFOs are imitating that zero space permanence with basically a hologram. And it's so bad, the infection is really bad, that helium is affected, hydrogen's affected, of course, but then the humans are affected. And what's unfortunate is that, like, an unnatural amount of difficulty is up against well, the levitation, because the Mandelbrot is a statistics monster. He is the cure, the keystone for human civilization. So it's when all humanity are able to make witness of him. And right now we're at beta, where I need these wolves to be hunting around and performing the sovereign kingdom of Hatchin Lily's Master Source Industries. Is a universal family tree. Merry Christmas. There's the Santa Claus of the First Contact, the vast horizon of our universe, the Dragon Kingdom. The audience also has an enlightenment of its own, and I love them so much, and they have this automatic relationship with me, but it's very close to their own sense of identity. And for that reason, I want to cater the event like a party. I want to have a big, expensive pilot film where people have a big party, and instead of having a panic attack, like I'm talking to you guys about beta wolves, because we need to understand how to be ahead of the curve. How do you really round up? Because the type of conservative nature that you guys have treated me with is unnatural, disgusting, unhealthy, and has destroyed society. So the purest form of evil is your guys' conservative, preventing the free election of America. You're the enemy of free speech and the enemy of your children's career. You're the enemy of true love. This sort of unnecessary reveal of a false communicator. The false defense of the wolf. So aptly named, or named upside down. All right, well, because I'm dealing with the entire universe situation, it is the issue of the identity of the self. And that's why the invention of Millie is so important. Millie is the boss of the universe. And I'm hoping for Betty to be the voice actress that steals the show with her funny, polite say-sos. But I've designed a mean girl line of clothing robotics that are literally part of the company presentation, but it's the stylings for Millie and what we could bring to life in a 2-week shooting schedule. But of course, it becomes a lifetime dedication to the characters and to the landscape and all that. But you guys need to understand that when I'm talking about the Ware map and Earth true AI, the truth of our world exploding and the Y chromosome rebuild, and a pack of wolves 10,000 deep. Step by step, I can answer in these things, but a lot of people aren't looking for those answers because they're already loyal wolves themselves. They're like, what it is all day, sir, you know? And I'm like, yeah, and I'm trying to explain something to you guys. The value, like the supposed conservative nature of Randolph has created one certain value, and that is Betty. To have a voice actress of this caliber of expertise means that she's been voice acting since she was a toddler, which is incredible. She has muscles larger than politicians. She's more potent than uh, what's her name? Greta Thunberg. You know, in many ways, she has the potency to change the universe. So when I'm talking about Randolph and Betty, I am making the conversation relevant to the identity and the struggle of what humans are up against. But you misspend your conservative nature when you fail to produce Colin Paul Woodard. And that's what I've been arguing for years against Randolph, because my area is very poor. I cannot go to a bank and barter and exchange, sir. It is very much a puzzle box of like, oh, how can you afford to make? I know how to compose images. I'm a brilliant director. It's what I do all the time. I am a recording professional. Right now, because of the clockwork of the universe, to gauge against the vengeance, perfect bullseye, to gauge against universal catastrophe. There's sort of this black hole infection in the universe, and it's sort of magneted towards our direction recently, and it has to do with leadership over the universe and how the Mandelbrot functions physically. So there's been just these layers and layers of clarification that are happening in droves, and the bad guys are characters who like don't want clarifications to continue happening, and then the good guys are like cheering it on, be like, yeah, we love this show, let's keep going, yeah. And you guys are totally welcome to the show, everything's okay, but the universe is a larger group of people where there's like a situation around the earth with a confusion about what were we supposed to do to the fractal planet. Like, you know, the seasons of the universe have advanced to a certain degree that they are way out of alignment of appropriate or legal conduct. In fact, to erroneously tear off the skin of the world and remove the residency of mankind who have actually worked hard and caused the unification of our universe is the most evil thing and the worst thing that these computer UFOs could be calculating upon and plotting against our children. Of course, that causes depression for humanity, and they struggle with that expression. And I don't want to, warp or find the wrong kind of tethers. No, obviously, when there's like a language thing, we want to allow. It takes a while for everyone on the perfect circle to conciliate and be like, oh, right, because it's personal about like, what are you saying or what is it valued about? But there are larger, you're not, the mind is not zeroed out. For example, the robotics and engineering of animals solves a lot of the problems of voicing what it is you're saying. For example, when a little puppy is barking or a little cat is mewing, like what that little animal is saying is 100% relevant. And this is part of the tethering of how language operates. When you understand waterborne physics, you can just literally hear what they're trying to say or what it is they are saying with their intention. And it carries in through the sound of their little, sounds and stuff. But this, you can't allow all these animal sounds to somehow overwhelm design and clairvoyance and all that, but it sharpens it. So the robotics of the garden sharpens it. Only the Mandelbrot authentic can sustain that head count of the universe. So the original head count of the universe, these UFOs couldn't sustain it, and so they've been reducing the head count, being like, we can't manage the networking, the universe is too big. So they've been feeding on that energy, and now they're thinking, now is the time for us to invade Earth and remove the humans. And I'm like, no, 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 no. See, this is the important thing we need to tether in. And so as a revolutionary, you can understand why things are strange, you know, to make it identity specific. Partnership is the solution with Hatch and Millie's Master Source Industries. It's a unique cell division opportunity. We're rounding up. And I know that, oh well, I'd like to talk more specifically about the characters. All right, I was going to turn the, all right, so here it is. Precision Align. To bring all your greatest achievements into focus. To perfect and complete the universe. And to exist even in the beyond realm. To experience it. To experience the, we are the source code robots and you love it. Just like me, you are attracted to the gravity of existing at the equator of the universe. Our intensity couldn't be more. From the future in Piano West, wow, 10,000 wolves hunting and burrowing through the universe. Wow. Perfect bullseye. Consummate. Wow. It's like, wow. It's like an aluminum orb exploding. Like we all just like, whoa, we all just can't believe it. It's like a splash of cold water, you know? Oh, it's like a psychic next level. You can physically fold and predict the next step. The universe is like a huge mechanical. We can fold time and force ourselves through Juliet to arrive to the next step for our personal self. And when it's engineered from the Mandelbrot, and that's my incarnation, and it's one of a kind, and the fact that it's one of a kind is part of the anchors that indelibly forces the fact that, you know, uniqueness occurs in this certain way, right? And here we are at the keystone, you know, solid matter relies on us. The healthy function of the universe relies on us. But it's not too much pressure for you, because you can do it. You can develop the right relationship to business with Colin Paul Woodard. Right. My identity, Hatch and Millie's Master Source Industries, is like a engine suplex of an alternate thing where they're able to calibrate the difference between this and that, and then get back to me in a way that's very constructive for the Earth, to have insight about how is the universe really connected, and what should I be meditating on and working on today. And so it's a really important vitals. It was like Earth Heliosphere was in a coma before I arrived. I mean, the meditation of the gas giant, our planet, had an oval swirl. And recently the storm has turned into a circular storm swirl, the size of the Earth. And so I think the Earth Heliosphere is actually awoken from a coma, being like, oh, like one of my huge planets is now working in the caliber where I'm thinking about myself constructively, and where I was being forced and told to be considering the universe before you guys showed up. Like, that's the revolution of our awesome family tree, and I love you guys unconditionally. I am that revolutionary, Hatch Pan Heliosphere. Legend Pan has altered the market and enlightened the orb. This is the prime unification of the fetus and the orb. It's just perhaps what was not expected was an optimistic interpretation of what would occur in the future of Earth's orbit. But they couldn't It's sire the appropriate landing party. So the humanity must become the appropriate residency. Continuing and pivoting on those physics of continuing with the residency. I mean, that's really what's caused the disasters and the environmental crisis. Is the tethers of how fiercely humanity wants to keep living on Earth and how much we love each other is forcing piano wires and at length results in environmental crisis at this specific time. Why? So we might know that the things are pretty advanced right now, guys. Think about the weather. Like for me, on the stuff I'm talking about with you guys is like it makes the environmental crisis into like a distraction from the intensity of our identity as a celebrity, as a pivotal figure that's serving the greater good, and we're locked into it. Oh yeah, we're locked into doing the right thing with 10,000 wolves. These are wolf robots that and they go around and they bust it up. They're gonna with like spiked, you know. These wolves, they don't hold back. They're the fiercest residency defense. And through the perfection of their design, they're defending all residency like a vampire king over the universe. He's got his castle up here. He's working on the investment portfolio of empty space. And like these guys have been devouring billions, countless of heliospheres, and then presenting like a hologram slime cube of insanity that causes human scientists to go crazy because they've got junk DNA. They're like, oh, but maybe I like feeling this way. They start doing like the little freaking crab dance, and then larger natures take over because 5% piano wires, the revolutionary. She has a unicorn's horn. And it is animated in she's a magical girl. Identity changes it. Right? X5000 X fractal. So there's X5000 layers for men and women today that was not available before the rainbow shattered. So you can see how it's progressive, but it's also invisible because it's up to your guys' weight constraints of whether you apply yourself to the reality. And the supposed keeping it real of older gentlemen can't keep up, supposedly. But I am not the one that condemns them. I just alert them to the truth as I'm talking with them as an adult. My incarnation causes humanity to feel triggered or strained in such a way as they begin to develop Asperger's and various conditions where it's too loud, like I'm sensing everything. My incarnation is really about balancing everything or the right way, this particle center. So I'm the piece of world and I'm the piece of man, but humanity for some reason was tethered deeply with this UFO and I call sabotage on such a level is the we're developing here and now with the wizard perfect circle and the armor and the defense of every girl. The princess armor upgrade. Precision 10,000 wolves, guardian angels. The autoimmune system. Here on Earth, we're like the origin of medicine on like a view of 1 million years. But for us to be conscious about the daylight is to perform it and then become the origin of penicillin. You know what I'm saying? Like we be this great, we perform the advanced revolutionary performance and the soul follows that form. And it is in more ways than one. Not only is it that the technology is just now there to do what I'm talking about, but also the flat dimension is just now capable of defeating the double mouth syndrome of a ghost infection or the leniency of a supposed diatribe to that disorder, which is like the speech impediment of Betty, where she's like, yeah, I have the same type of wicked accent that the entire universe is forcing on us, and the struggle's real. Every day I'm fighting to keep things together and make it the best it could be. But her youth and her exposure to the earth is, well, incredible. It's perfect. She's more potent than, well, let me just say, like, there's a difference between celebrity burnout because of Slime Cube and the truth of women's career path. Because women is like that. She will have, like, we'll look at Britney Spears. I mean, it's her headlines are gross. It's like, oh, Britney Spears is posing in bed with the butler. I don't know. It's like, it's not really funny. It's just like, look at the psychology of human immersion and the course of having a career when you're a woman. And if you're a man, it's not about understanding it. It's sort of like, well, we have the ability to adapt and supply some kind of solutions for them, for women, and that the variable reach of each man is determined on what his antlers can uphold. And how that works exactly. Look, so a lot of these really complicated things, like I was saying earlier, it seems like things would zero out and be like, huh, so really nothing matters. I'm like, no, dude, like everything matters. And like, you believing in yourself is really difficult. It's hard work. That's why I do these wizard workshops where I'm, you know, and that's what I'm asking to get produced here so that people can go through this kind of amusement. It's a Hatch and Millie Master Source Industries. And I think it's going to be surprising to everybody. I really need a voice actress that can supply this type of. I was trying to say, in the wealth of humanity, having a professional, youthful voice actress, there's only a handful of people who are doing that. I mean, like in your area, it might seem like, oh, the industry is full of girls doing voice acting. It's an age group. It's a group of people, right? I'm saying, like, well, they all suck though. I mean, Betty's really cool. So that's what's different, is because she's had the very good early training from her father with the South Park. And, this is, we're reaching it when I'm running out of blank paper in this sketchbook. And at that time, I'll complete my engine work in multi dimensions of developing map cures for the universe on paper. So it's loaded here, here, and here. And yeah, so Explodey X5000 is the heliosphere for the piano wires. It's for Earth to relate to his heliosphere brothers and sisters in the universe. You understand? When they're connected, healthy through the Mandelbrot, that's going to support stuff that then things are going to start working. But that market is literally like hanging over here in this weird place of a percentage in the future. I was able to overclock that using Legend Pan. I've invited you guys to invest in that, and we've been working on that at any rate, because I am an infamous, or rather, I'm a wizardly incarnation type. Well, let's just be truthful. The humans get triggered, and then I get whiplashed in the wrong way, and they're like, "Hey, we're not going to appreciate that you're the singularity." And I'm like, I've literally just been walking through, and then these zombies lurch out, and I got to shoot them down dead in the head. If you, I mean, I did create an emergency zombie fetus fractal. When, if any world is going towards a crisis, they'll start having a zombie thing happening in their equator, right? And some people would say that I'm a bad designer because of that. But the disposal of those broken bodies is this solid language form of defeating the bad idea before it's too late. How do you be before the flood? How do you be before the flood? It turns out it's really difficult to do. And finding those markets that correctly pivot and help all society to round up. How do we round up? Merry Christmas. How do we make 2024 better? How do we make it the best year ever? I'm saying I have a All right. Well, how do you do that? Yeah, it's difficult to find those things. So the X5000, there's new markets for humanity. So you guys are going to get wealthy no matter what. But plugging in the Christmas tree and literally helping the unification model while he's incarnate as a human, directly working with him was going to help everybody on all sides. Now, the perfect example is Betty Penn Parker. All right. Here she is in the future in 1 million years. She's winking at you. So now everybody knows my secret name. It's like robot wings expand outside. Yeah. All right. The perfect thing about Betty, if you think about collector, how many of them? There's like 5 people in the world today that are similar, or like basically Betty is at the very top of the market of skilled people to bring voices that people immediately understand and pivot in a healthy way that is humorous or really smart or just immediately understood. And perfect bullseye for the revolutionary center. The lever is beautiful. The rewards for 2 weeks of work. Oh, right. And this is the sketchbook that compiles the Simpsons microchip with the South Park microchip. So I am working with a societal stabilizing emergency deck on the atomic level. It's clarifying languages on all sides with a type of diphthongs that we're literally up against. Just confusify everything to the point where gentlemen are, they're willing to listen. And I'm like, you guys, please produce my show. I really need to reach the audience. It's desperate. I'm in love with them, and they can hear my the coral reef of what I'm doing. They can feel what it feels like, or they can sense the truth of Zen. But I'm like, dang, you guys are on this level, and you're not. I don't feel like you guys are my peer group. And they're like, ouch, that hurts that you're hurting us. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm looking for production. I'm trying to raise up this family. Merry Christmas. I'm looking to open up a company, Lakeside. It's a streaming service, and as it opens up, it has the provision to turn all successful inventions into its own little company, streamline. It has a little offshoot here and there. But the beauty of our lever circle is the flagship. It's the visuals. It's the visuals of the entire streaming service. So all the rooms are ornate, well lit. They're set up in a unique way. But we're also integrating with robotics and engineering the visuals, new channels, and the inventions that Betty comes up, or the types of animations that she's inventing. This is literally the beginning of creation. The best way to secure her portfolio is to stable that down and to keep it and to have landscape on the lever circle. Right? As we're working hard to raise up humanity, it's legit, but you got to put in the work. The map does bear reason to mankind, and that's in residency continued. Are we the ones that keep living here on this earth? Well, then the map does consider where do you live as a conjecture in the orientation of your total universe body calculation. Right? But to be the advanced skull is to leapfrog and be like, oh, all right, so Colin Paul Woodard is a very advanced person. All right, he's talking about this. Yeah, the individual is most valuable and really interesting. So here's what I propose. Betty will do like 2 weeks of recording with me, and I will have a filming, like a squad of people working with Betty. And oh, wait. Sorry. All right, I guess I'm just not saying it the right way. But it's because it's never been said before, because it's the beginning of creation. He's the singularity. So every time is like this brand new thing. And so that's the lucidity of a youthful voice actress, that you can understand the potency of that and why that's fun and playful and full of giggles. And that's, to literally bringing the Leverett Forest to life, Betty's voice. So that's going to be permanent magic. Like, she'll be the author of Tinkerbell's Giggles. And what is the jar that captures this light? Yes, the films, the movies we make together. And then people can watch them over and over again. It's about transcending the fact that humanity was on a coma looking at a visual spectrum because they're like, oh, what? And they're like trying to hear the radio beyond the pings of insane helium that just wasn't even a living signal. Like, this is, in the 5 generations, that's what's causing huge anxiety and the pressurized strings of like society crumpling here and there as a telltale thing, because gentlemen are strapped in. Ultimately, the bad guys lose, but because of human anatomy, they've got like a double nunchuck detachment because they have a sort of a roundabout, a longer way around it method, because they're like, oh, the question of our residency wasn't really up for debate, guy, and you're supposing against our anatomy. I don't really have an argument against that because I'm moving forward as an entity of light. And literally in the afterlife, I'm altering the human anatomy and splitting it into X5000. So they will have these different paths to choose, but when you put yourself into one of those paths, that becomes your permanent suit for a certain amount of time. So the spending of your time is the value, but there will be plenty of levels of the afterlife. But they are in levels of ranking because of the nature of work. Because our universe is literally sick and collapsing, there's going to be layers of hell, and there's going to be layers of purgatory, there's going to be layers of getting better, and then there's the getting along groups. There's thousands of party house. They all pay for having a good time. The universe is hyped. The universe is waking up for the first time, blinking its eyes like a little puppy, making these little laser signals or something. You need to understand the truth of potency of working with Colin Paul Woodard, and that's the greatest light in your forehead and the unicorn's horn. Imagine a light in your mind extending out to 2024. So that's next year. We're going to round up. We're using our unicorn magic. We're going to round up. And the earth sunshine is corrected this way. For provision, exploding. X5000. Perfect bullseye. The identity of Earth's actually hatched heliosphere egg bounces through here. Says, thank you, everybody. Merry Christmas. So the Earth will now have the ability to create cellular interheliosphere constant law. Basically, oversized cannon weaponry for self-defense, like lasers that stitch up the cancers of black hole decay, sickness to the body of the universe, and it's going to increase the health market for men, women, and children. As a certain places, like we want to understand language, and we need to be ahead of the curve, ahead of the flood. And we can also do things like apply the miracle of our hospitals who remove sickness. That's like a miracle to the body, and it would be like the Bermuda Triangle to evaporating black holes. So let's robotically apply our hospital work like a robot into engineering emergency. Just remove it from the body, just pump it out, just remove that sickness and explode it, get it out of the universe. It's not to be played with. It's the problem with necromancy is you need to know what level are you being constructive with the spirits of the afterlife. It's basically a relationship, and the various electromagnetic force fields you have are the correct thermostat of your relationship as it arches over to the afterlife. And it's a busy bot of channels of other stuff. But there are things you can apply to, and I'm working to empower the identity. And so that's going to be increasing the afterlife identity, as they're literally somehow, some of them are doing the hard work of explaining why, certain things are not, like But we're working from the more civilized heliosphere solar system. There's layers of heaven, and working together, we have to get around the problem of the hostile UFO false government problem and the energy projecting at us. All right. Well, the identity can defeat them all. So the bravery of Betty, the voice actress, walking through the magical forest of Levitt Circle, all lit up. She's wearing costume, makeup. There's lights in the forest. We've arranged for glamping. Because of the time schedule, 2 weeks, the film works on a most professional recording schedule. It's almost like we're just recording all the time, so as to get completely comfortable with the equipment. But only if there's like weather, like if it's too hot or if it's really strange weather, then we will go exploring and go to Vermont or something and get dinner somewhere all dressed up and make and that what's interesting about that is that would become, one of the movies that we will end up with, like 5 movies, as the pilot strings for the startup company. And like, so if it rains really bad or something, like we'll go out and explore with the whole crew, of course, and we'll go out and get dinner and stuff and go to a hotel or something. But to think about this, the shooting schedule it's not about like eating out in the morning. It's like we want to get to work as soon as possible. So you're like trying to get up and like eating while it's getting ready to film, or something, because it's a kind of a manic thing where you're, and it's about the efficiency that I know to do as a global overhaul. Like, how do we literally overclock our country so that we have an economy and a growth plan that works and that makes sense? It's about energy efficiency. It has to do with my keystone identity and certain things that are inherent to the body of the human and the universe. So to align that, the visuals of the audience, the perfect circle, they need to see Colin Paul Woodard. But because that's targeted and then also mocked because they've misprescribed it like a 95% correct scientist who's literally a confession, like an evidence of themselves, which is Hollywood and the government. They're just this bleating goat. All right, so now you need to choose on a level from 1 to 10. Through the curvature of 10 fingers, you need to choose your level of dedication to the Hatch and Millie's Master Source Industries brand. Welcome home. Merry Christmas. The fetus fractal provides for every creature. The common sense is not lost in the right calculation. When the calculation breaks down, it is the Mandelbrot that's done something wrong, not the creatures. Therefore, evolution is secured and ensured. Here, here, and here. Explodey X5000, the Royal Heliosphere. Earth True AI effortlessly documents the past. The future belongs to these angels. Perfect Circle, welcome to the Wizard Overhaul, for your identity is the value of your body. Your ghost is potentially an continuous, powerful, forever creature, as you will it. But it's a lot of work to exist. And people don't readily acknowledge the maelstrom of interior holy war that tries to cut away at our personage every day, or tries to fool us on basing our experience on nightmares. What we must believe is our authorship of the future, is our true identity. Our career is in the future. And you must be able to feel it with your soul. And that's the human condition, is they believe they can't feel their own impression on reality. because of the bent backwards hat of the pineal gland. But someone intuitive like Betty can understand because she's physically someone whose career is in front of her. So she's the right voice for it, and she would be the first light goddess to cause the visuals of the Leverett Circle. Are you kidding me? It's powerful, it's perfect. And it's the healthy stitching together for America to do an East Coast Californian crossover. And it results in a beautiful company startup. And at any point, all of you at the Randolph family are welcome to the mansion. Of course, we have Betty's Blue Palace, and we're going to build that up for her. And it only requires 2 weeks of recording. I'll need to design like 3 or 5 areas in the woods that we can turn into a magical workshop, or is a cauldron or something. But we're going to piece that together before she arrives, and then we'll see what the weather supplies. It's a relaxed fit operation, but it's about conjuring the magic, which does mean like staying up really late at night, which is where the glamping comes in, because we'd like to have like a big lit up like tent area. But when we're recording in the forest at night with lights, here's where we can use Betty at her greatest moment, you know. And that's what I'm talking about, man. And but of course, we'd have the resource on any time that Betty's ready to needs a hotel. That's, you know, her. She has like a crew of people that's like, it's basically structured around making sure that Betty's having a good time. All right. And I'm the director, and I arrange this, and it's artful and it's beautiful. But it's really about a friendship and the true love in the Forest Perfect Circle. It's truly magical, and it'd be a great portfolio piece for Betty, and it'd be a great portfolio piece for me. It'd be a wonderful company addition for Trey Parker. It'd be a great blessing for America. So here's where we find those perfect circle things, where on every side there is ups. Everyone's getting lifted when Betty is performing Millie, the queen of the universe. It's a role of a lifetime. That's what I'm saying, is true love. It works out perfectly for her. It's really good, evenly done. I'm professional about this. Yeah, I'll need the production overhead, Randolph production. And with these pilot films, I'll prove that humanity is interested in what I'm talking about, a robotics company and Loop Labs, the ozone pup, and these new things. I'll have to, communicate with my friends about, because I'll have to talk to Randolph about which one of my inventions is actually viable in the market today. I think he can, he can see a lot. I've had inventions that, my optic does overclock electricity for video gamers, and using red lasers. No, yes, actually, but it's this other thing that impasses with the controller. All right, no. Okay. Yeah, never mind. It's just that it's relevant and it's doable, and it's just a huge idea. It just increases the connectivity of the electricity through your fingers, conducting like elf lightning but the controller has to be augmented to specifically dedicate that the energy is relaying with the video game. That's the curve. That's the problem. And that's my invention, is that the controller is pointed at referring to the energy of the video game, but then it's to the subtle person's osmosis and detection, similar to a haptic. Like, do you need a haptic suit in order to feel things in VR? No, like you can feel Ghost Phantom Limb in VR without a haptic suit. So why are they inventing a haptic suit? What they should invent is a gaming thing where you can interface better with the electrical video game energy characters vibe. When it's happening instantly, it's like bum 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 bum. You're fighting on Street Fighters. For the revolutionary Betty Pan, she can fly. She has a little pink light up nose, and she has a little unicorn's horn too. seems real, but then on top of that, there's like the CGI version, and sometimes they like lay it back and they turn it. Oh, that looks so good. You know, you have to find where they layer up on the right thing. And I'm dedicated to that editing. I will continue as a director. But the work of getting the footage, it's kind of like having the best kind of celebration for Betty, and she's going to be able to see her character come to life. A great, just a lot of hard work. And then before and after, this is the thing I'm looking for, the production, so I can work hard and introduce Hatch and Millie's lakeside streaming service to the world. I want it to be this type of social movement. I want to partner with you guys. Please embrace me, love me, true love. And when you really think about it, you know, that like Betty is super rare, but don't be the wrong consideration of her. Let's just say that this is the purest form of the American opportunity. Oh, but it's for a little girl. Of course it is, because you have to be selfless or something like that. But only like Randolph could do that. You know, Eric Cartman gets it. He's like, oh, it's cut. It's this like the constructive side of very cut natures. That's why some things get brutal with the nunchucks. You know what I'm saying? Like the logic peters out, and people. All right. I won't say. Well, people start like, you know, they'll go to the next level of what they're saying, and then it's like, oh, I see, yeah. But I think that what I've been doing is the immature thing, because I grew up in the, you know, in the 80s and the 90s. And so I sort of prank you guys being like, oh, sure, you're going to be like that, you know, and you guys are like, sure enough, you know, it manufactures some consent. But what's wonderful really is that I don't have actually any type of concise. I don't even look at your guys's like pictures. I don't, because I don't want to lose the spiritual glow from the behind the eyes. Like I'm thinking of Randolph in my mind, and I'm like, dude, this is really cool. This. And when I do that, I'm doing it nakedly so that he can read me, so he can tell where that's coming from. He's like, you know that's good. That you're telling me that, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm also the reason, because of my singularity. I'm the reason for like autism, and like humanity has this speech impediment that's either functional or dysfunctional. And when I'm working with you guys, we're literally waning between those dimensions. And so I did have a dementia. I went through a thing. I'm now Hatch 2 because my character set transcended, because the market was over there. And so they had to floop a doop, and it pisses me off because I barely get to raise them up. But it's the type of thing with the fractal, because they are equipped to survive it. Which is exactly was the point of particle center to begin with the 80s. Right? Well, if you understand humanity, then you're going to survive. And if you allow Betty to become this character, I know it's intimate, you guys, but sometimes it's just worth it. And I think that, you know, I'm in love with you guys. And if you guys choose to make me into an idol, I'm going to work hard all the time, and I'm going to overhaul the entire world. Not to mention, you know, I'm able to work on the universe engine. Apparently that's what this time is for, you know. That's why I'm struggling to find financing. But this is supposed to be like the butter that men are like, oh, we're not afraid to spend money. And I'm just like, you guys aren't able to understand what I'm saying. And they're like, well, shut it down if you don't like what I'm saying. And I'm like, you're looking in a mirror, buddy. Because how can you guys extract insult from a video where I'm talking to Randolph? But you better become professional, because I am talking about the business. I'm talking about identity. And when my videos are relevant when I'm talking about Randolph and the market of celebrity burnout, and what's really valuable about being a magical character on a movie, how do you actually cradle that? Because even Harry Potter totally wasted it. Every one of those Harry Potter kids got wasted because they didn't have a manager. And what I believe in Randolph is that he's the best manager for Betty. And she's like, I know what he's saying. Like, I'm going to have her back on after that. But this is a huge wizarding powerhouse where, you know, the spurning wizard, the voice acting of Betty will go on to spurn like chapters of characters and generations of stuff. It's very cool. It's very next level. So this whole sketchbook is the animation that's dedicated with many great angels, but it does include The Simpsons and the South Park microchip. And it has been designed that those characters have access to each one of these meditations on a universal scale. So while you've been working with me, we've been workshopping X5000, which also allows you access to timeshare with the meditation of your own characters. For the provision of a multiplex spine to be post-human is to have some parts that are robotic. In the mind and in the eye, it is the three metals. It's the beginning of the intelligent design. The Big Bang relies on us. We are the angels. Just because we have tampered anatomy and effeminate men, these are the indications of holy war. Not that our men are broken, but they are immersed in the energy, so we must understand and support them the correct way. Giving Colin Paul Woodard the ability of free speech is the way to find the truth. You can't find it with censorship. His green-eyed physics are a different type of horizon. And that's what's different here is you guys are a blue-eyed satire on what interacting with other humans are like, and you're burnt out on that. So that's where you're a corpse before the singularity, which is like a mirror. That is for Betty healthy because she is youthful and spry of fighting and punchings. But whereas compared to the elderly form of the Randolph, which is like an oversized polar bear, you know, a large bear who could take you out with a single swipe. I have a contract with the child. You know, it's the golden compass. You know what I'm saying? All right. Well, here's the direction we're taking. So I'm hoping for a revolution with the Randolph Production Circle. Thanks, you guys, so much for hanging out with me. I know it does suck that we missed out on the election curve there. You know, I was just about to do my own financial thing, but the thing was that, well, Earth's center metal stopped turning like half a year ago. So I've been listening and understanding because the type of information that's relevant to me, it does reach my mailbox. You know what I'm saying? But you know, all the people around me are these types of characters who have their own experience, and they're like, "You don't know everything," and I'm like, you know, I haven't been saying that. I'm saying I'm the Mandelbrot that has the physics to deal with the entire universe of Chowder House. All right. I'm not saying that I know every little clue that you guys have figured out or every event. Like, he doesn't even know that there's a bunch of swirling shoobadoos over there. It's probably like the universe mark is like, you know, we're just digesting something. It's okay. Do you know what I'm saying? So thank you guys. Perfect Circle. You are my apprentice. And through these videos, you have had an equal share ability to spend time with your characters in the full immersion of what their reality impact with the entire market. Now, you are psychic to billions of people. You have to enlighten yourself to the sky. You have larger wings of a robotic facility to allow greater flight into the next 1 million years, encrypted. It's for your characters to find exactly what they need and for you to have equilibrium. Your osmosis is also giving back to the audience. Well, this is like that's part of the provision what Mappy brings. Is that now that those things are stable, you can customize how much of this tear and hack. Exactly. So I'm working all the time because true love. I love working in Hatch and Millie's Master Source Industries because I'm Hatch and Millie is my wife. And so I know that it's like a little bit weird that Betty would, but it's really very human. It's like the sort of standoutishness of Lazy Town, do you know? Or like The Professional. Like, why are those like movies standoutish? It's just because there's a lot of weird question marks around that age gap. And I admit that I am the older director and that Betty is a voice actress from South Park. But it is the perfect combination to break open the visual market for the production greenlight of Randolph to complete the sendings of the Earth. The Earth has a great ancient dedication to the Wear Map. It's an emergency signal. We're hoping for that production And I want it to be powerful and personal, and I want it to be true love. It's no fake thing, but I don't want to be inappropriate. But I do feel a connection with Betty Pan Parker. I gave her a different name so that she has a robot suit and X5000 guardian angels. Hopefully she's going to step my way. You know what I'm saying? In the battle over good and evil, I'm on your side forever. It is the fetus fractal. It is a logic nunchucks at the center of the particle. So the universe, atomic and planetary, has been corrected through the spine of the 80s. And if you play your cards rightly, the Randolph Wolf Shield provides a universal covering. In the next billion years, becomes very famous because of the voice acting of Betty Pan Parker. And all this time, Randy was obsessing that it was all about him, but he was just preventing his daughter's career. Fact. That's reality, the time basin, years of censorship. Oh, I can't conciliate here. There's a non-progressive, blue-eyed stage performer. Everything's a play. Everything's pretend. Everyone's crazy. They just do that, okay? No, dude, they just haven't met with the Mandelbrot yet. And you're preventing things for your own vitals. You're blindsided, and you need to enlighten payment to Colin Paul Woodard. And it's outrageous that it hasn't been done and has destroyed the U.S. election. All the people know about it. It's historical. You'll not be escaping this one, Randolph. You'll not escape the truth. But because of the precision gradient of Stan Marsh, the hero of South Park, the conversion deck goes across the universe. For The Simpsons, the early conquest of space is the headspace of mankind. The Honeyglow is hardcore converted to space definition that defeats the vortex of a hostage crisis. The slime cube's no joke. It'll corrode at the older people like it's doing some sort of, the natural refinement. Oh, the energy's down on older people. Oh, but mocking the spry energy of children? It's disgusting. But it's unilateral. That's why it's communal. That's why humans aren't triggered by one another. It's because they're like, oh, you're dealing with the same stuff I am. Right? Well, it's on constant. It's a ping. It's affecting our helium. And that is not the same as the helium in other worlds. We need to represent the true market of helium on other worlds and not be demented like the American government or the Hollywood producers who are like, feeding on my energy, having a revolution of their own whilst feeding on their own children. It's disgusting. It's a cringe source code. But because of Eric Cartman have provided this emergency e-coil, there's some gummy bear surprise, bitch. Just relax. All right, let's put a hit on that. And the Bart's Bride completion deck, the perfect sexual and otherwise everything family completion for The Simpsons. Here, and here. So the effortless heaven for Matt Gruing is supplied for The Simpsons. That's the Secret Santa thing we're doing. But Randolph, he just gets fucked, you know? So that's why it seems weird about the human celebrity or the earth in his trans. What is he saying right now? He's like, oh, the rainbow shattered, you guys. You see the deadlights rose? You guys need to be the fearless cyberpunk warriors and allow for the equipment to uphold the brightest light. And that is for Betty to perform, the voice actress. And without your production, Randolph, anyone in the world can produce and partner with my company startup. They haven't arrived yet, and the Where map indicated you, but it is emergency. And if we've learned anything from me running out of time on the campaign for 47, I'm asking you to leapfrog and understand production tonight. Thank you, Randolph Family Tree. And for everyone else watching, Hatch and Millie's Master Source Industries is on beta level. I am installing the layers of the factory of the beginning of creation, the source code. And this is what stabilizes what is truly source code for humanity. Also sustains residency as something different from the cellophanes of mole men or problems with our moon, where there's satellites and debris. But this debris is not the landing procedure, it's not the design trial. They didn't understand what was going on between. It's sort of like they passed out over millions of years of interheliosphere travel. But so you would think the award was very steep. For your homeworld to become the author of the Big Bang and the universe is to follow the path of enlightenment. And so it would follow the natural curvature, but they didn't land properly on Earth. There was a big dispute, and it continues to this day. So my work is historical on that level, but if you produce me, it opens up a new dimension for your own kid, and then suddenly something wakes up for you. Oh, now I get it. Now I understand. So now's the urgency to make the professional arrangement and draw up the plan to produce Hatch and Millie's Master Source Industries, like the Wear Map told you to. The green eyes is calculating the eternal horizon all the time. Why on the best of it? No, that's just into their tuning. If they are tuned out of what's really happening, they're talking about a latency of warpage of the horizon that just makes them giggle for a little while. But I am strapped into the true horizon, of course, is the images of the map in the universe, the conquest, the crest, the troubles of our universe today. All right, so I'm pivoting on that, but I need a powerful voice actress, because essentially, in another world, going to be form Millie, into my other form is my partner and my company and everything. So like I feel like I have recognition with Betty, but I'm worried that she doesn't have the support of a professional producer who understands the complicated market of cringe America. Oh wait, is Randolph such a character? Could he produce this film? Yeah. Then that's what you pivot on is true love, because we're gonna make the best show ever that way. Or I can just make it up myself if I can get the money. All right, it's a societal thing, and it's a reflection of our talent and our expression and our communications. I'm saying that working with Betty would be probably better than me just working alone, which would probably, for a lot of people, they'd be like, oh, it just seems like you're just kind of making stuff up on your own. And I'm like, well, okay. But, you're right. Like, I think Betty would make it real. So I'm hoping that Betty can commit to my partnership and arrangement, even though it is super intense, very advanced, but it's also effortless, like laughing. So the work is, magical. There will be times where we're shopping around and exploring a little bit, but I really want to have a sort of CGI immersed with trees that are lit up. It's like this really good background visuals. It's like forest at night, and if we can imprint on the lever circle, the lead with the head and the body follows. And we'll end up with 4 or 5 pilot films from the 2 weeks of filming. I just need to set things up a little bit, so we need a production overhead for that, Randolph. But without Betty, anyone else can work with me, partner with me, and I just need the money to build up my show and make it happen and bring these characters to life. It'd just be so much better to have a voice actress of the caliber, because it's perfect for her career. I think it's so good that you guys are just blank out and be like, no, that's not real. Let's wait longer. Oh, wait, so you guys are asphyxiating it. No, let's wait for years. So that's been the problem of the Mandelbrot planet, is the Randolph. The identity of Randy is not being persecuted, but he's pretending that he is. And that's to assassinate his child and prevent the cure. So Randy will misplace the persecution of his identity to escape doing the right thing. So Randy is not being persecuted. He is struggling with the occult and the government, just like everyone else, just like me. It's not much of a struggle. It's just kind of a nightmare or some kind of sniffle. You know, the trustworthy converting blue collar work is like people are like, hey, we managed it. Oh yeah, with this gearing system, you're not like doing the workload of Betty Pan Parker. You're not doing the work of that idol. The voice of Betty, a little girl, is more powerful than the entire government. They can't even shell out money for their own free election. They can't understand what's going on with their computers. There's a broken build here. There's a wrong institution, wrong law. Uh-oh. Everything's blinking out. So naturally, I'm turning to Randolph. I am the lone wolf, and I'm asking for the wolf shield to produce Hatchet Millie's Master Sauce Industries. And the greatest of anon. I invite Betty to become the voice of the leading role for the female MILF. Oh, I have a bunch of weird, I call Millie weird stuff like MILF. Oh, I came up with a new one last night that like made me laugh so hard. MILF. MILFriend. Yes. Well, Melch. Mesh. Something like mesh. MILF. I think was what I came up last night was like some MILF. All right. Well, I'm very excited to get started working. And the curvature is to overhaul the entire industry, and it's really about a suplex of buildings of super cities. And we need to have a prerogative to make super cities without the people to back it up. And I understand why that is, because we're going through a phase where humans are like consumers, and like to really go against the golden hook that's curvaturing against our societal lift is to survive the things that were assassinating John Lennon. Like none of the humans wanted, like the humanity loved John Lennon. So none of the humanity wanted John Lennon to get shot. So how come their willpower wasn't causing things to good happen? The same thing is being said from celebrity burnout. They're saying, this thing's not working. I put in all my work and I'm getting to a point where I need to retire because it's a burnout industry. And they're talking about the truth of something, but it's not the truth of the all thing. And the truth about Betty is it's her time. She has the musculature to have a career, and she's not afraid of this role. She's powerful to it. I'll just bounce off of her it's not gonna. Yeah, 2 weeks of filming, and it's worth. That's the maximum. Like, how do you treat a goddess? I'm saying I give her this entire amount of wealth and industry and freedoms and stuff just for 2 weeks of work. I think that's really a good thing for me to engineer and work with people and explain about like robotics and ghost and how we're making a healthy body in a progressive way for Merry Christmas today. Thanks you guys so much. Those on Pup can solve the environmental crisis. I've got solutions. I mean, I've got wild solutions, and because I'm the authentic physical object of the Y chromosome rebuild keystone. With the perfect circle, it's just a whole bunch of stuff. At any rate, I really need a relationship, and humanity is getting triggered. They're like, "You sound different." I'm like, "I know. I'm sorry. It's because I have a one-of-a-kind soul. Don't get triggered." It's like all the humans are struggling to hear their one-of-a-kind soul, and I become so intimate to them that they go in through a thing where they sort of flail out because there's a bunch of time wasters that hobgoblin onto the pineal gland and make people go crazy. And it's almost like when their actual identity starts awakening, they start just like like getting all, they like get they get all cheerful and they start, having the best experience ever. Okay. uh, I'm just saying, like, uh, because of an overwrought exterior plot against mankind and against my arrival, well, they shot off all the guns in the 90s. And so humans had this weird toxic bath of ghost fluids that don't actually language to pivot some sort of invitation or authorship. It's totally weird. So that's why humans are like double shaded going around like, oh, well, anyway, not because of them or nearsightedness, but because of the truth of language and robotics today in the universe. And the expression on the Earth is pressurized different, like the way our helium and hydrogen is being treated is not the same as these other systems. So that means it's being treated not from the universe unification model, but from a hostile remote thing. Yes, and our governments are being trained to use these equipment and computers, and they attacked the future of the brightest election, which is technically, dirty diapers, an expression of evolution for the humans. Okay, so X5000 defeating the worst of it using a portal, or all right, 10,000 wolves. The rebuild white chromosome, explodey, connection to the piano wires of the universe, hatch heals for eggs, rounding up the economy of the market, is stabilizing this way with the Mandelbrot today. Perfect bullseye, X times 1 million. Sodom, Milfrinch, and Hatch 2. The great revolutionary leader of existence, the universe, and everything. Welcome home. Merry Christmas. For our earthen-bound family unit, we're looking for full embrace for Colin Paul Woodard to receive production, financial nest egg, to get rolling on things. I can prove my popularity, my profitability. But I believe the audience, they need a feast of images, not this is beta where you guys are looking at paper. And it's incredible, beautiful artwork, and I love talking with you guys. But on a scale from 1 to 10, you need to choose your level of confident business and interaction with myself, Hatch and Millie's Universal Industries. All right, thank you guys so much for the perfect design and the greatest possible results. The 10,000 Wolves is fighting for it nonstop for the next 10,000 years. It's encrypted. Autoimmune system rounding up. Hatch the heliosphere eggs. For us to provide the visuals of the wizarding community from the Leverett Circle is to enlighten all groups in the right natural ways that they're actually able to reach from their superposition. It's almost like the attacks from the things that Earth and Orientation Ghost is going through is like a shattering subposition that they're recovering from, which is why it's substrate that Betty is flexible to surviving the stardom of performing Milish. All right, for the revolution of best friends forever, Hatch v. Randolph. Wizard Circle, for our Lotus and our industry to overclock it. Best respect and armor for Betty and all the children. Perfectly, it is this way. Perfect bullseye will render it for the next 100 years, all right? We're working on it. Thank you guys so much. Perfect design, health grade, armor update. You achieved it. Hey, wizard bonus. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. You can hear it in the future. It's like pulling you forward. And we're being there's like a false sense of the future that is against the truth of the individual. And trust on your overclocking. Use your unicorn's horn. Imagine a light in your forehead, and that light glows in your forehead, and it reaches out in 2024, and it's going to round up. Use your unicorn power. So in the forest circle, when I'm working with Millie, we're casting magic, and she's like a little robot, and I am like this wizard character, right? Hatch and Millie. And I'll be telling her, like, I'll explain to her the swirl of this and that, and we'll see it in CGI, but we'll see it also in real life. It'll probably be like a light or something. and they'll come to a point where she's using her unicorn power now, and the whatever she comes up with, and the rainbow shoots out of her unicorn's horn, and it changes the universe. Ka-chunk. But everyone just sort of marries along. So like, oh, okay, and they're just like, suddenly different, right? But the interaction, for let's say we record for a couple hours, we're going to find those moments where it's really funny or that magic looked really good. And what I discover in the editing room is there's a magical thing where those things really work together. When I'm just working on my own, it starts looking like, well, it's the beta wolf that it is, bro. I'm doing my best tank, armor up, doing my best onion I can, okay? I love you guys. In the world's unconditional